Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the 365 Message Center Show. This week we are talking about Outlook. We have some more Copilot goodiness in Outlook, as well as this offline stuff. Anyway, we'll get to that. We're also going to be talking about how SharePoint is coming with a new feature to integrate Amplify a little bit, so making things publishing out via Amplify a little bit easier. I'm very interested in this. It's going to be, I think, a good conversation. And Copilot, moving stuff around on us. Yet another change for Copilot Chat. We'll talk about that and more. Stick around. Roll the intro. Yes.
All right.
Roll the intro.
Well, it's definitely rolled.
Great. So yeah, I'm actually excited about this SharePoint one, Darrell. So I can't wait to talk about it in a little bit. But before we do that, of course, we have to remind everybody, hit us up on the socials. Where do they do that, Darrell? Pray tell.
At 365 MCS on all the socials that matter at the moment.
Right. Or you can hit us up on email. I don't remember the email address. I think it's contact@365mcs.com. You'd think I would remember that. And
We must check it regularly.
definitely. And then if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you leave comments down below whenever we're talking about a particular message and update. What are your thoughts on it? We'd love to hear what your thoughts are. There's people...
Pretty lively this week.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. So let us know what you think and what you're, how you're going to deal with the change. We'd love to hear.
Yeah. Well, like one of our regular listeners, Pete Simpkins, made some comments about the new sharing link or sharing capability when you're popping in a video onto a SharePoint page. There could be some issues. Yeah, some similar thing from Christopher O'Malley. Got that? Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and dive into it, Darrell. I'd like to learn about different modes in when I'm selecting desks in Spaces. Can you please tell me more?
Well, I will. Yes, yep. So this support for different modes for desks, MC 1122162 is talking about Microsoft Places, and if your organization's begun to use that, we know that it's available in a couple of different flavors, free and paid, and you can choose what disk you want to use from what's listed. I think this actually relies on the licensed experience of Places, and what will be introduced now is what sort of status is this disk going to be marked as? Is the disk unavailable? Well, yeah, clearly I've booked it. So sorry, Daniel, you can't use that disk. It's my favorite spot. I like sitting by the plant, by the window. Is it assigned? This is a desk that is a regular spot for someone. Assigned, and you don't even try to sit there unless you've done it by agreement. Reservable. So the desk is available to be reserved. It is something that is available for anyone that might be visiting. And coming in, or a drop-in desk. Sounds like that means it's permanently just come in and use it. It's not reservable, but it could be free. Just come in and use it as needed. So those four statuses will need some explanation, I think, if you're going to be using them, to communicate to people how to use them and what they mean. I've just made up the meanings on the fly, if you couldn't tell. Because I have read this message in great depth, but I really needed to just say that in full disclosure. But yeah, it's something that you will set up in Places Management, and you can configure these via PowerShell. No changes will be made to existing disk configurations, so it's not going to mess with however they have been booked right now and whatever status they're in. You're not zeroing it out and asking people to go and rebook those desks. But this is really just a quick message because we recognize that not many of our audience will be using Microsoft Places. We think it's a good service
Indeed.
that helps to manage the occupancy for your desk space, your floor space for people. If you're an organization that has downsized a bit since COVID and you want to make best use of your place. And this is going to be rolling out general availability worldwide mid-August through to end of August. And I might want to amplify some of the guidance around that, and perhaps I've written this great SharePoint news post, Daniel, that I want to make available to people across my organization. Tell us how I might do that.
Well, you're in luck then. Viva Amplify. Distribute SharePoint news posts across channels. MC1123834. And this is talking about bringing Amplify. Okay, Viva Amplify, able to create a post that is then published out across different channels. So when we talk about channels, we're talking about email or Teams or Engage communities or Storyline or SharePoint. But what if the news is already in SharePoint and we want to amplify out from SharePoint? So you created a great news post. Now you're going to, for those that have a license for Amplify, there will be an Amplify button that shows up on news pages. And when you click that, you will then be presented with the flyout that has the options of sending this to email. And this will be a, kind of like an update that you send out through it'll be the news item, but via email. Teams. So you can make that as part of a direct message, in Teams, saying to a group, "Hey, here's this news post," and it'll send that information out in that message. Engage. Again, you could do this via communities or a storyline. So you're, on your storyline itself. Or additional SharePoint sites. So this is interesting. So you can take this SharePoint news item and then post it to other SharePoint sites as news. So I think this is interesting, and I'm actually excited about this because I think Amplify got it wrong. Okay, I think Amplify and Darrell, I'm willing to be corrected here, but for most organizations that I deal with, it has been that if they are all in on the ecosystem of M365, they're using SharePoint as their news source, then why would they use a different tool to publish to SharePoint, right? Why would they use Amplify? It's just kind of going in the wrong direction. You're having to start over here to get to the destination you want. Why not start in SharePoint and publish out? And I know there's some... I'm not saying this should replace all Amplify. I'm not saying that, you would never go to Amplify and create those campaigns. And I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I think it missed a big part of what people would want a communication tool like Amplify to be in their organization. Do you agree, disagree, have other thoughts around that?
I agree. I think that when you are authoring a news post in any intranet, not just SharePoint, but you're often creating that draft in familiar tools. People are pulling it together in Word or whatever else in terms of a collaborative tool to get the wording right. They're pulling together images from different places. And in the SharePoint sense, okay, we then take it as a team and we draft it. It's still not published yet, but we're checking things out. We're making changes to it. And then we publish it on the site that we're creating it on. And you want to amplify it from there. Now, I get that having this nice, tidy space to create your campaigns in a separate place is fine, but I would prefer to do that in the team that I'm currently in, because that's where, as a communications team, we'd be already working around everything to do with that communications campaign or that client need or whatever else. So really good to see this. I agree with you.
Great. I'm glad you're correct when you agree with me. I'm just playing, everybody. So I'm excited about this for that fact, because I think a lot of communicators, now remember, you have to be licensed, and so there's a couple different ways you can be licensed, but you have to be licensed for Amplify for this to show up. But it's just bringing that, hey, I've created a news item, and now I want to get the information out to the channels where people are working. This is a great way to do that. A couple of things to mention really quickly at the bottom. It does say that before rollout, they will update this post with new documentation. So that's interesting. Maybe when they do that, they should fix the link at the bottom, which if you click that link, it takes you to a 404. So that link at the bottom of this message is wrong. But I think we're on the same page here. I think this is going to be a great addition to the corporate communicators' way of getting the message out. So I'm excited about this.
Question for you though, Daniel.
Yeah.
That last option, which is additional, it sounds like it's taking and making a copy of the news post and putting it on additional SharePoint sites.
Yes, indeed.
Do you think there's... how do you feel about that strategy?
I think it should be used sparingly. It depends on really what you're trying to do. There are places where you would post news items where it is not being surfaced. The news item that you're creating is not being surfaced in those places. I'm actually thinking about, I'm creating a news item in the corporate communications location. Maybe it's a staging area or something like that. Oh. And then I'm publishing it to the intranet. That's an option. I'm not saying, there's different ways you can handle this. And just like we talked about last week, Darrell, about the whole video thing where you're copying the video, to this new folder, and it's creating, now. We don't want to be creating copies of news items just to do it. It definitely should be part of a process, right? That we're using to get the word out.
So on that, the communications team already has a Microsoft team. They already do their stuff there. They don't need another space that Amplify creates. But maybe they could use the team site behind the team, author the news, draft it up in that truly private space, and then use Amplify to push that out to the appropriate site or sites.
Could be. So I'm really looking forward to this more documentation and seeing how people will use this. So we don't have all the details yet, but we have most of them. It'll begin rolling out mid-August, expect to be completed by mid-September 2025. Okay, Darrell, Copilot's done it again. They have moved stuff on us. Okay. Tell us what they're moving, and maybe you can give us a hypothesis of why.
I think one prompt that we should all be used to using now is, hey Copilot, where did you move that stuff? And see if Copilot can keep up with it. This is new tools feature coming to the Microsoft Copilot Chat prompt box. This is MC1122153. It seems like we need to surface some tools that are not getting enough attention, at least by average users. We've got our bleeding edge early adopters that go, wow, look at that. We've got researcher. Oh, we've got, this analyst feature. Oh, look, here's Copilot pages here. And they know where to find this stuff. But when we go to that prompt box, today what we have is an add content button, the plus button, and you can add your content, and then you can also start a conversation with an agent. And it feels like maybe that's not enough to surface some of the other good value. So we're seeing this a lot with Copilot. A lot of things, a lot of changes to shuffle things around and make sure that people are seeing the value in front of them and that it's easy to access. The power users, they're always going to find their way through. They're going to use their @ symbol to call the agent. They're going to use the / to find something. They know what to do. So that's what it's about. But that's actually just the core of what this change is. What does this mean for for people who are continually updating and training and changing things and making people aware? Look, first of all, it's good that we are being told about it. You know, it might seem like a small change. It's just good to know that it's coming and to have a screenshot and see what to expect. But yeah, it's also, look, we're going to see more and more of these if that kind of change is going to be announced frequently. Where did this move? Where did that button move? Where are the agents now? Where are the other things now? It's interesting to see, Daniel, that it's agents and pages that we see in that screenshot among potentially, and designer, right? So hang on, we've got this panel down the side of the things that we can access and use, and now they're also being brought into the prompt box. So interesting. What are your thoughts?
I agree. It's interesting. I think that I've always thought that whole having the stuff over on the side is things get lost because now you're focused on the chat and you're not paying attention to the agents and everything else that is over on the side. So it makes perfect sense that they're bringing it. It seems like they're bringing it back. This how do we connect and work with these agents have moved several times, and here we are moving them again. But maybe it's here to stay because they're going to group them all together. But I can envision in 4 or 5, 6 months it's going to be, we're going to break it apart again. I don't know.
I'm going to be cynical here too and say maybe it's also about trying to match the design and UI language of ChatGPT and other similar chat experiences. Yeah. That chat box feels fuller because the button's been moved out there. And look at all this gorgeous value that if you click on it, here it is. Look at all the stuff that we're offering instead of it being an empty chat box. Right, so generally available. We'll begin rolling out mid-August and expected to be complete by late August. And, the other thing, Daniel, that is kind of a trend in the Copilot space is that more and more things seem to become released to people who are not licensed for Copilot. You've got another one to tell us about.
Indeed. So this is Microsoft Outlook. Copilot Chat now available to summarize emails for more users. MC1124564. So when it says more users, and I think we've seen messages like this here recently, what it means is people who are not licensed for M365 Copilot. So this is going to give us the capability of, in Outlook, we don't have a license, right? We're unlicensed for M365 Copilot. We're going to we have if allowed by our admins, and we've talked about this before that you can turn that off. But if it's allowed, then that Copilot button is going to be there, and you're going to be able to, with one click, be able to summarize a email thread. And this is, I think, it seems like a premium feature, right? What would be included in a license, but Microsoft is now bringing it to those that don't have a license. Just like we had talked about other things, bringing Copilot into the various surfaces. So this one is interesting for me because I think they need to do a good job, and when I say that, I don't think they have done a great job, and it's just my opinion. Hey, I'm a co-host here, I can have an opinion, right? It's my opinion. Microsoft has has not done a great job at communicating how they're securing this information in their cloud. I believe they are, but I don't think they have told us and done a great job at communicating. Hey, so what I mean by this, you have come into your email. There's this long thread over the weekend about something. You click this summarize button. You have now given Copilot all of the information in all these emails. Okay, where does that information go? Where is that stored? I think I know, but I don't think Microsoft has done a great job at communicating. Is there a difference between whether you've paid or you haven't paid, where that information goes? And I think there needs to be clarity on this, on exactly what's happening. There's some interesting, or there's some informative links at the bottom. So go have a look at that. I think it does bring some clarity, but it's very technical jargon. So, for those that don't understand it, it might not bring that, because it is technical focused, it might not bring that clarity. But Microsoft's keeping that information secure, but I could see, I'm kind of going around the bush here, but I can see how this would bring pause, because this is basically bringing this Copilot functionality to all your users. So they're all going to be able to summarize emails. Well, then that means all of those emails are being uploaded or being used by Copilot to summarize. And it says at the bottom things like, all right, does this change store new customer data? And it says it will be temporarily stored in Microsoft in the cloud, and so that it can do the processing, right? It has to do the processing to do the summary, to do the creation. So I don't know, Darrell. I'm not trying to say this is a big issue. I'm not. But I feel like if people are not asking the question, then they're probably not doing a due diligence on how this is being rolled out in their organization. You should be asking, is my data secure when my user clicks that button? Short answer, yes. But you shouldn't take my word for it. You need Microsoft's word on it. And where is that data being held? Yeah. So that's kind of my thought on that. It is, again, unlicensed users. It can be configured to where that button is not available to your users, but that would be across all, your apps. And then you're going to get a summary. On the positive side of this, you don't have to read the thread. It's all in that summary, and it's 100% accurate. So no longer do you have to read your email.
Great face.
No longer do you have to read your email. You can just read a summary. No, this is kind of one of those things of how much value does this bring? I think it can be valuable, but I don't want you to, our dear listeners, rely on this as I don't have to read email anymore. I just summarize everything and I just read the summary and move on. Because remember, any of this generative content can be wrong. And you wouldn't want to be making business decisions or decisions about your time or your efforts based solely on what AI is telling you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Great. So they've got these interestingly backwards. They list in the message general availability worldwide first, and then they targeted release worldwide. So I'm going to do it the correct way. Targeted release worldwide. Begin rolling this out early August 2025 and expect to be completed by mid-August. So now-ish should be rolling out. And then general availability worldwide, mid-August, expected to be completed by mid-October of 2025. All right, Darrell. We just talked about Copilot not doing. I was about to say not doing a good job. That's not true. We're not going to rely on Copilot to be 100% accurate all the time, right? We're going to double check things. But you know what? I would really like it to be better at creating presentations and giving me a little bit of an assist at making presentations better looking. Or maybe I would rather the people I work with, I would rather them be able to use it and make better presentations. I've seen some doozies. So I'd like Copilot to do a better job. Can you help me?
I can't help you. Copilot might be able to. Microsoft 365 Copilot Enhanced Presentation Creation Quality, MC1125486. As the name suggests, the presentations will improve in quality if you're using Copilot. Good to know. How is it? I mean, watching that journey, wow. To start with, it was make me a presentation. It would pull together the slides. It would be pulling all kinds of ideas. I actually had this concept, Daniel, for a fun little show where Can You Present It was the name of the show, and you would just give something to Copilot in PowerPoint, and the fun would be you have to present it however it turns out.
And it used to be like bullets, right? It was like, here's 3 bullets, and then it would create a slide for each bullet, and it was just like, okay.
Yeah. I triggered one off about, I think it was about cheese. Yeah. Telling us about the different types of cheese, and it pulled from all kinds of things. And actually, I think the images were quite interesting. But anyway, we've come a long way where we've seen one feature disappear that was native to PowerPoint come back in as a Copilot powered feature, and so it creates the outline for you. It pulls things together. We've heard a lot too now about the improvements with accessing our organizational assets library, and that if you have added the nice metadata to help Copilot find those images, it will pull them in. So there's also improvements around the depth, the flow, the compelling professional presentations. They'll all be kind of pulled together in I guess a deeper, better way, rather than it just being not random facts, but just facts pulled back together and bullet pointed. I mean, good to know. I have tried the current state now. This is all actually to be driven from M365 Copilot. So while I've been talking about how Copilot has been developing in PowerPoint, in that native Copilot in PowerPoint experience, this is about driving it from that chat. Going to chat, saying, make me a presentation based on this. Now, if you scoot on down to the few images that we see within the message, the prompt or the message to Copilot is create a presentation about effective cross-team collaboration, and it draws from a few of the presentations in your organization that you might have already got on this topic, and it's making some suggestions about drawing from that. We joke that it's kind of funny. It says Copilot's found a couple of recent presentations authored by you that you should use. Well, if they're recent, hopefully they're still in your living memory, unless you've got goldfish memory. But the next image shows about creating that presentation, and that you have a link there that you're able to use to download it. Now, if you try that today at the time of recording and publishing this, you might get a very bland-looking text-only PowerPoint presentation. But following this update, it's going to be closer to the presentation that might be built if you were using it within PowerPoint. I think that's the point there. PowerPoint as you've got that last image there shows some examples about what to expect it to look like. I will say this, Daniel, if you wanted that really nice looking result there that gets you closer to a presentation you could start massaging and changing and improving upon, why wouldn't you do it within PowerPoint and Copilot within PowerPoint instead of going to chat?
Yeah, it might be that you're just wanting a fuller chat experience. You're wanting the whole canvas versus doing it in PowerPoint. But also, it's just starting where you are, right? You're in chat. Because that's where you are, because Microsoft forces you to go there, because they removed our wonderful landing page and replaced it with Copilot. Not that I'm bitter. And so there you are. Well, let's just start from there to create this presentation.
Yep, that's a fair comment. So getting those two experiences closer to the similar, if not same, result. And yeah, you're right. Like having that chat experience, sitting the documents listed there as here's something you wrote, here's someone else that something wrote. You could have a follow-on conversation before you actually get to the point of saying, okay, now I'll create a presentation based on everything we've talked about.
Right. You're asking Copilot, what about this and that and the other thing? And you're getting all these details. You're doing research, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, now that you know this, and we've discovered all this together, Copilot, now create me a presentation on this, right? You wouldn't want to go, okay, I'm going to pop over to PowerPoint now and do this. No, you're right there. Let's go ahead and create it.
So this will be rolling out mid-August and complete by late August, general availability worldwide. Actually, that's the only option. I don't know why I was toning up there for another one. But let's finish with an update to the new Outlook for Windows and getting closer to parity. Ooh.
Microsoft Outlook for Windows. Add attachments while offline. This is MC1125491. So this is, we've talked a little bit about creating and interacting with Outlook offline before. And this is bringing the capability of adding attachments. So a fuller experience. You're writing an email. It's great that you could do this offline and save it. And then when you're online, it sends it. Great. But what if that email needed an attachment? You're trying to attach a file that's on your desktop or it's in OneDrive that's synced to your desktop and you want to attach it. Wouldn't it be great if you could do that offline? Well, you can. Congratulations. This is a setting, and you can see it in the screenshot, that it is where you can find if it's enabled or disabled in settings, general, and then offline. You can enable that offline email, calendar, and people, but then there's that include file attachments to be able to. Now, it's going to limit that, right? So a particular number of days so that it's not, taking up too much space in its cached that information. But hopefully you get online and send that email with the attachment, and it works just wonderfully. Not too much to say about that, other than there is policies that you can enable there. In this message, it tells you how to do that to as an admin to be able to enable or disable this if you want to take control of that policy for your organization. This is rolling out targeted release worldwide, mid-August 2025 through mid-September. General availability worldwide mid-October through late October. And then GCC general availability is November early through mid-November 2025. All right. I think that's all of our messages.
Yeah, I think we're done.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on this week's adventure as we waddled our way through, these messages of Copilot and Outlook and SharePoint and Amplify. We sure hope you enjoyed yourself. And if you did, or you didn't, or you're just, you're like, leave us a comment down below on the YouTube video. Tell us your thoughts on each one of these messages. How are you going to implement these changes? What are your thoughts? Is Microsoft doing it right? Or are they doing it wrong? Let us know. And if you're listening on the audio, hit us up on all the socials at 365MCS.
And Daniel will send a chocolate fish to the first person who says in the comments, or not.
I won't do that.
You won't do that. No, there's food safety rules anyway. Bye everyone. We'll see you in episode 390 next week.
Bye-bye.